I am pretty good, thanks. How are you, Linda?
I'm well, thank you. It's that time of year, when things start to get a little frayed around the edges, but we're all good, and I'm sure our listeners this morning are feeling a little the same way. But that's okay. All right, let's kick off this morning, shall we? Welcome everybody to the Public Practice Accountants Club on Clubhouse, where public practitioner, thought leaders, industry specialists, got my tongue tied, and accountants just like you discuss the hot topics in public practice and how they go about navigating the public practice landscape all around the world. So fundamentally, we are pretty much the same in public practice. We have the same principles, dynamics, and challenges no matter where we are in the world. We might have some different tax seasons, busy periods, and legislation, but at the core, what we are is very much the same. So our room this morning, I'm excited, is Cut the Clutter, zero inboxing for accountants. Now, this could bring some groans, it could bring some, woohoo, I want to learn how to do this, some mixed feelings about zero inboxing. So I'm really revved up to talk about it this morning. But let me introduce myself. My name is Linda Steffens, and I am an accountant and author and an introvert. And I coach and train accountants around helping them become better professionals, better emotional intelligence, and also around doing more advisory work. So a lot of different things that I get to hang out with accountants all of the time. And of course, my amazing co-host this morning, Kylie Baxter. Good morning.
Good morning, Linda. I'm just actually trying to post on CPA Member Connect because apparently my post didn't go through last night.
Oh, no.
So all about our exciting topic this morning. Zero inboxing. I love this topic, and it's something that I think will generate a fair bit of conversation this morning. But first of all, congratulations to you. I saw that you went and actually got your FCPA certificate finally.
I did.
Well overdue from a COVID delay or something like that.
Yes, it's also well overdue from me being lazy around the paperwork. Yes, so please, anyone out there, if you are eligible for these recognition, these rewards, please do it. Don't be like Linda and wait an extra 10 years. That's not appropriate.
Mine is exactly the same, and I think I'm like 7 or something years overdue. But then they sent me an email and said, yes, it's all good, and your presentation will be in 12 months' time.
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
Damn it. Yeah. Look, it was a fun evening. We had a lot of recipients because obviously they're not doing certificate presentations as often as they used to now. And it was really cool. I got to do the vote of thanks, which was fabulous as well. So I love talking to accountants in general, and it was really cool to get up on a stage. Even introverted me handled that. So I love that stuff.
I think it's so a great opportunity to have those early career accountant minds in front of you as well. Like I know a couple of the accountants there that got their CPA status that night.
Cool.
They were so proud. It's really lovely to see how proud they are.
Yes.
And their social media and their parents are proud.
Yes.
And it's just lovely. Really lovely.
It is. But so what have you been up to? Yes.
Oh my God. What have I been up to? I have been locked in the boardroom presenting tax plans to my clients, which is awful and amazing all at the same time. This is the worst time of the year for me because it's so busy and I'm exhausted and it's hard work. It takes the most powerful part of my brain to be on all the time. But it is so rewarding.
Yes.
Because our clients are really into tax planning. I had a client in yesterday. She was like, when you first told me about tax planning, I thought that sounds boring. Who would want to do that? And now I think I'm more excited than you.
I love that.
That was really cute. So I've literally just been doing that as well as hating on the council who's doing night road work.
Oh, what?
At night time.
Oh, yes, dear, oh dear.
So great time for Kylie.
Well, let's see if we can raise the bar from here this morning with some zero inboxing. And off the back of and off the back of obviously chatting about CPA, we are a CPA discussion group. So you can get definitely your CPD and CPE points for listening into any of the replays that you can find on my LinkedIn or over on my YouTube channel. So plenty of places to listen in and get your PD. And of course, a reminder this morning that as we kick off our conversation, it is always our intention to be positive, supportive, and collaborative as we come together in support of our amazing industry, no matter where we are in the world. And of course, we would love you to chat to us if you would like to do that. There's quite a number of ways that you can get our attention when we're talking to you this morning. So if you are in the Clubhouse stratosphere, you do have the little chat box, which is enabled, which you can just say hello. We'd love to see who's tuning in. Where are you tuning in from? Tell us, because we'd love to know who we're talking to. And also, if you're out in LinkedIn or on Facebook, you can make comments on the live stream and we can see them. It also helps if you tell us your name, because then that helps us talk back to you, answer your questions in a very polite way. So we'd love doing that. All right. I'm going to do this again at, the risk of being very geeky and accountant-like, but I think the hardest thing about zero inboxing is to remember it's spelt with a Z, not an X. So it is such an account. I seriously struggle with that. I'm gonna raise my hand and admit that every time I go to type zero something, my little finger on the keyboard goes to an X. So well done, Zero, and your marketing team, because that is unreal from that perspective. But let's get into the topic this morning. Cut the clutter, zero inboxing for accountants. So unread emails, distracting notifications, communication accidentally slipping through the cracks. Does this sound a little bit like your email inbox? And the stats tell us that the average office worker can receive up to 120 emails per day and can reply with about at least 40 emails in a 24-hour span. So an overwhelming inbox can be much more disruptive than we realize. And I think too that we get so used to operating our inbox at a certain way or a certain level that it's more overwhelming than we actually realize. So we're going to look this morning at zero inboxing, the principles of zero inboxing. So hopefully you can take back control of your inbox and your productivity if you feel a little out of control, but also pass this knowledge on to your team as well, because it won't be just you that has got these full inboxes. It'll be your team as well. So emails coming out of your wazoo. It is the nature of accounting, okay? It is the communication medium that we are most comfortable with. That's the first thing. We are at our desks all day. We communicate well with email. We like to receive our work through email. It's how we often generate what we need to do. And it can also, though, as you realize, be our most time or our biggest time waster, I think. And so not only time, but also energy. How do you feel about a busy inbox, Kylie?
Yeah, like I should probably tell you how we do emails here at Acct first, because this conversation is an interesting one for me. About maybe 6 or 7 years ago, actually, I'll just make up those numbers. It was ages ago, maybe even longer than that, because I still think I'm like 25.
Yes.
Definitely not. So, possibly a lot longer. We banned internal emails, and then when we moved our clients to portal, we also banned client work coming into our inbox. So that cut our emails down drastically. We do zero inboxing, which means that basically by the end of the day, our emails have to be cleared. I wouldn't say that we are 100% on it. Like, I think, maybe one or two emails would sit in the inbox, but it's certainly not dozens and dozens. It would be a couple. Now, for us, that also means no folders down the side. Like zero means zero for us.
Yes.
And that goes sort of hand in hand with a lot of the things that we should talk about today, which is productivity and efficiency, but document management and tax file number risk and a whole heap of practicalities.
Yes.
But like the thought of, for me, because I'm used to working now with an inbox that is so small and so condensed, the thought of having this massive inbox is overwhelming. And I get hundreds of emails a day, right? And not all of them are from clients. I reckon maybe 30% are client related, 20%, another 20% would be, work related, as far as not from clients, but from third parties about clients. And then another 25% would be rubbish. Like, when I say rubbish, not rubbish, but things I need to know about but don't need to act on.
Yes.
And another 25% would just be stuff I need to know that, do I care? Maybe just store it away for the future. So I don't really get a lot of junk because I've cleared that out. So I think like when you make the decision to go through your inbox and change your ways, there's definitely some action steps you need to put in place. But probably where we should start is, why would you do it? Why would you change from what you're currently doing? So the majority of us are just like dealing with their inbox. It is what it is. We just let people send us whatever they want to send us.
Absolutely.
And we're willing participants because we sign up with our email addresses. We go to conferences. We give our email addresses. We're out there giving our email addresses, maybe even on business cards if you're still handing them out. And we're just getting accosted with emails and we're letting it happen. So it's a two-phase approach on how do you make what's in, and once you do, then how do you deal with it?
Exactly. And I think too, again, just going back to the why, and when I decided zero inboxing for me. Now, if you would have said this probably when you were doing it, Kylie, 10 years ago to me, I would have went, that's crazy. I can't do that. That's ridiculous. But it was probably 6 years ago for me now. And I decided, all right, I'm going to give this zero inboxing a go. And I was pretty good with my inbox up until then. And when I say pretty good, there was probably 40, maybe 50 at a time that sat around in the inbox. It wasn't hundreds and hundreds. And I have seen hundreds and hundreds. And yes, Catherine, I can see you're looking forward to a zero inbox. Everybody's looking forward to a zero inbox. The point I'm bringing across here is that it is a bit relative, zero. It doesn't always need to mean zero, but it needs to mean a small amount. So the way then that, yes, I dived in and I did it, and you do have to be absolutely resolute in, making sure this happens, because just as what you said, Kylie, we are willing participants in this. And so it's up to us to take the lead and the initiative to change something. Only we can do this. Nobody else can do this. So when I changed to zero inboxing, I'm like you now, and I get overwhelmed and nervous when I have more than 10 in my inbox. And, it's like, oh, I don't like this. I'm getting nervous. And then when people tell me, I got about 250 or something like that, I just, holy smokes, that just, really unnerves me. Now, why? I've looked into this, and, it really is, if you thought about your inbox, all it is a digital pile of papers. That's exactly what it is. Now, would you put a pile of paper, if you printed out all your emails and put them in a pile on your desk and left them there to sort through every day to try and find the one you wanted, that's exactly what you're doing digitally. by letting all these emails in your inbox. So number one, you are punishing yourself by looking at that digital pile of papers sitting there going, I'm bad. I didn't deal with my emails. I've let everybody in on my inbox. This is not good. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the efficiency around finding something when you want it. If you're thinking about, flicking through a pile of papers, well, that's not efficient. So why do it digitally? So that's one of my biggest reasons is the energy that gets wasted without us even knowing by simply looking at what's in our inbox. Okay. So that's something for me anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. But on top of that, we've also got the factor of fear of the unknown. If you're not on top of your inbox, what's in there that you don't know?
Yes.
What information could be helping you with your current tasks? What information do you need to hand on to other staff members? What's an urgent action or something that slipped through your mind because there's no way you can be remembering 200 things that are in your inbox? What should be saved into your document management system that you haven't yet done but you meant to?
Yes.
And the problem is it becomes a part of our culture, our
Yes.
work culture. Because
Yes.
if we don't have a policy for the way we're managing our emails, then when new staff come on, and I'm talking particularly about early career accountants, because I'm passionate about them.
Yes.
They're never trained on how to use their inbox. So what we're creating is just this, culture of poor email management.
Yes.
And it ends up being something that actually creates quite a lot of anxiety for some people.
Yes.
So we've talked about phone notifications. We've talked about all of that. Some firms do require staff to be responsive to emails out of hours or on personal days or whatever the story is. I think that is getting actually more common now that we've gone to maybe a remote
work.
Work model as well.
Yeah.
So for me, zero inboxing is even more important in that state, because think of the overwhelm when you're out and about with your family or you're even at home and you think, I don't want to press this Outlook icon.
No, exactly. It's all about that, trying to get some balance between what we're doing. And this can be a huge part of it. And it's all about setting yourself up for success, leading the way, taking the action, and then, educating and training your team around this too. Show them how it's done. If you can do it, anyone can do it. So I think that's a great way. So the first thing that I always see where we go wrong with emails is that we don't separate the management of emails and the doing of the work or the tasks that are included in emails. So we try to do the management and the doing of the work all in one. And that's why it takes us so long. So we go and look at our inbox and go, oh, yeah, I'll go do that. And next thing you're checking your emails, and next thing you're down that rabbit hole, and it's 3 hours later and you've done nothing but check 5 emails. And so that is a common occurrence, which I see all of the time. So the number one trick in zero inboxing is to separate the management of emails from the doing of emails. Does that make sense? Do you think, Carly?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah? Okay.
Makes sense, because when I follow a lot of people on social media, and it always astonishes me how they say, this morning I've just spent a couple of hours doing emails, and I'm like, what do you do with your emails?
Yes.
What I mean? And
Yes.
I know what they mean. They mean I've been responding and
Yes.
doing all those sorts
They've
of
been
things.
doing the
But
work.
I get what you're saying, and that's exactly what we do.
Yes.
So we make tasks out
Yes.
of our emails. So
Yes.
take action from them.
Yes.
But the management of them is saving them into Document Manager.
Yes.
Then deleting them. The task is go and respond to that later, or respond to it whenever, or
exactly.
get that client what they want, or whatever. But the actual management of it is, that needs to be done. Make sure that gets done. Delete.
Exactly. Have some process for getting that done. Exactly. So really the management of emails, if we carve that away from doing the work, the management of emails, well, you can help me out here too, Kylie. Mine probably takes 10 to 15 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. Just the management of emails. That's all I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about there is what Kylie was saying as well. okay, I've got that email, I've got to do something with it. I put it into whatever my process is, and we'll talk about a process later that we can share with you. But I take that email, put it somewhere where I know I will action it later, or I delete it, or I unsubscribe from it, or I do whatever I need to do. I don't do what is in the email. Now, I have one other rule around this. And if you can deal with what's in an email sufficiently enough so that you can delete it or file it, get rid of it in 2 minutes or less, then you do it within that 10 to 15 minutes. Anything over 2 minutes, it needs to be actioned at a later time. So that's how I work, and I've seen others suggest that. I don't know how you go about that, Kylie.
Yeah, I think that is a good rule. We should probably talk about rules.
Yeah.
Everyone needs their own set of rules or standards
Yes.
or process that will work for you and your own business.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that 2-minute rule. We don't subscribe to that
Yeah.
here at IQ, but it makes sense to me that
Yeah.
you do that. We more have like a common sense approach sort
Yes.
of thing. So we'll do it as an urgency matter or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like your point about time blocking, which is that you will go in 2 or 3 times a day for 15 minutes. What that does is it stops you going down the rabbit hole. So
Absolutely.
I love time blocking. There's this thing, and I don't know if I heard it on a podcast or I read it, and it said that there's actually a study that has been done where people get this endorphin rush from checking their emails in the morning.
Yes.
Apparently it is one of the top 4 or 5 things people do before they get out of bed, or the first thing. And I've got to admit, I'm so guilty.
I am too. I'll raise my hand as well.
So how bad is that? You get this endorphin rush. I'm totally onto my day.
Yes.
A good day. There's no bad thing. What a rubbish way to start your day. That's how I do it, apparently. Way to set myself up for success. And there's this really good quote that says something like, if you're actually addicted if you find yourself checking your emails multiple times an hour.
Wow.
Most people would check their emails
Yes.
multiple times an hour. And it's because in your little in tray, and the in tray is that little up arrow on your toolbar.
Yes.
Outlook or Gmail or whatever you're using stays open. And every time you get an email, some people have notifications turned on to say, hey, you've got an email.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself is a distraction. For whatever you're
Correct.
doing, it's a distraction.
Yes.
So
yes.
Not only do you see, hey, you've got an email, but some people see the first 3 lines, who it's from, the subject for the first 3 lines. Total distraction.
Absolutely.
I'm a strong believer that should only be on if you're actually waiting for something of vital importance.
Yes.
Otherwise,
turn it off.
Be in the zone of what you're doing. Turn it off.
Yes.
So emails give this hit of serotonin, apparently, when our inbox contains good news.
I love when there's a scientific reason around all our quirky bits that we do. This is really good. This makes me feel better.
Right. And so apparently, we look for good news, and even if it's a client giving us something that we want, or acknowledging, thank you. Yes, they read my email. Yes, they read it. It's like we get positive reinforcement.
Yes.
And
yes.
As accountants, we don't get a lot of that.
No.
So the other thing is when you start your day with email, it makes you highly reactive.
Yeah, okay.
Falsely productive. So you start your day going, oh, I've checked my emails already. You haven't actually done anything but checked your emails and then started your brain ticking. So it might feel good to read them and maybe respond to a couple of emails, but it rarely results in any progress, real progress.
Interesting.
Except for your psychological state.
Okay, so there's a catch-22 there, isn't it? Do I go with the psychological state or do I go with the real productivity and effectiveness? I'm going to have to think about that because I think I might try to change my ways. But I definitely check my emails. I do that first management cull as I'm sort of waking up, getting out of bed, having a look, setting my day, thinking about things. So I'm learning something today. So this is cool because I might just go about doing something different. But blocking time, scheduling time where you spend your day is very important when it comes to managing your emails. So separating the management of emails from the doing of the work, maybe thinking about something like a 2-minute rule, but also blocking time. So we've talked about blocking time and scheduling time for certain things in your day. That really is the only way that you will make zero inboxing work, is around those basic things. Because if you're not doing that, then it's probably not even just the first thing in the morning, but it's during the day that you're getting this false productivity and this serotonin hit and all of that. I'd imagine it's not just happening the first time you do it, it's happening throughout the day if we really think about it. So I suppose, okay, so we get the idea of we've got all these emails in our inbox and we know that we want to manage them somehow. What's a process? Tell us how you manage them, Kylie. I mean, you've got work and internal emails coming from different directions, but I suppose if we've got an inbox where we don't have that, did you start off somewhere differently around zero inboxing?
So I think to start, the number one rule is unsubscribe.
Yes.
You have to actually donate, is that the right word? You have to actually give up some time, take one step backwards to go 2 steps forwards.
Yeah.
Most of us have a heap of emails that come in every day that we don't read and delete straight away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say it out loud, but there's emails that I get every day. They're on my to be unsubscribed list.
Yes.
So what I did when I went to zero inbox was I did set up a folder, and I'm anti-folders, just so you know, because I think things get lost, and that's why we have document management.
Mm-hmm.
But I did set up a folder, and every email that I went not reading that I need to unsubscribe, I put that in the unsubscribe. And then what I would do is when I would get on like something where I could multitask, like whether I was in like a webinar or something where I was just listening or on a podcast or something like that, I would actively unsubscribe, because unsubscribe
That's
is
a good
like,
idea.
click your button, press OK, click your button, press OK,
yes,
click your button,
yes,
press OK.
Yes.
And then slowly the unsubscribes got less and less and less.
Yeah, cool.
But it's something that I still do to this day, because every time I go to a networking event or something like that, somehow, and like even if I don't go places, somehow I get emails from random places that I've never heard of before. So unsubscribe is something that you need to invest some time in. And even if you decide not to do that and you just decide to delete, that in itself is a great step, because they clog up your inbox. And it's really good to have an understanding of, you know, how much time you're spending. Like even just delete. Oh no, don't need that, delete. That might give you 5 or 10 minutes back in your day. Like,
absolutely.
That's amazing. 5 or 10 minutes a day is huge. 30 to 60 minutes a week.
Yep. Like, there's a lot you can do with that.
Like if you're not taking a lunch break at the moment and you actually get a lunch break once a week because you don't delete emails, fantastic.
Yeah, excellent. And I think too, if I'd say too, I am anti-folder. I used to be that person that had 100 folders and I could still never find anything anyway. But I think another huge tip around this when you start to, we'll get further into management in a minute, but is to get very savvy with the search feature in your whatever email system you are using. Now, there is some really cool searches that can be done if you just learn how to do them and learn, I suppose, not formula's not the right word, but, you know, how that's it, the shortcuts and everything, how you actually ask for that search to happen. Now, our brains, you know, I sit here and I know, and I talk to accountants, we've got really good memory retention and long-term memory retention. And so when it comes to something, we'll say, oh, you know what, that client, you know, Mr. Jones sent me an email that had exactly that in it about 6 months ago, and I sent it on to Kylie, and I'm sure Kylie responded with the answer. Let's go find that. That's how our brain works. So I don't know if you do that, Kylie, but that's how I go back and go, oh, I remember that, but I don't remember exactly what it is. You can actually get that in a search feature. So instead of just your brain and your brain energy, if you go and learn actually how to really be tickety-boo at your search feature in your email, then it is so powerful. It does not matter where in your email system these emails are, you will always be able to find them, because that is one of the biggest concerns of people when they first go to zero inboxing. What? You're going to make me delete stuff? You're going to make me hide it? I'll never see it. How do I know what I got to do? Where am I? I'm going to lose it. What if I need that later? So the way around that is your search features. Okay.
So we have strong document management. We
Yes.
don't respond to an email until it's saved into our document management system. Then we respond from there. Blah,
and
blah,
you
blah.
respond from
But
there.
I still keep 6 to 9 months worth of emails in deleted.
Yes.
To be really honest with
Yes.
you, because it's easy
Yes.
to search in both.
Yes.
And also sometimes I delete stuff that doesn't go into document management because it's not client related that I'll still want to find later. So I think the thing about zero inbox is, for us, it just means the inbox. For some people, it means emails in total, and they'll delete deleted items every night.
Yeah.
For us, our rules and process doesn't include that. So it's another one of those, you have to make the rules to suit yourself.
Correct. I'm the same way. I'm just the inbox. And I do have, I'm not a folder fan as in 100 folders anymore, but I do have 5 folders. That's all that I have. And I do also keep my emails in there. I don't delete very much, but they are out of my vision. They're out of that digital pile of papers sitting in the inbox. So I do manage them that way. So my 5 folders, if we talk about the management of email, then starts off with action. So they are emails that I can't do in 2 minutes or less, and I need to do something with later on. And I have time then that I know I've got to go into that action folder and I've got to deal with them. Okay. Then I have delegate. So I have team members. So they're emails that I've forwarded on to somebody else, and I'm waiting for them to come back with something, or I'm waiting for them to do something or be notified that that task is actually done. So that goes into my delegated folder. The done folder. So that effectively is my, it's just finished. I don't need to look at it again. It's effectively my archive. It just sits in there. When it's done, it's done. I never go and look in the done folder. And waiting is the 4th one. So that's where I've said, thank you, Mr. Client, for coming back to me. Can you just give me this information as well? And I'm waiting for someone to respond. That sits in my waiting folder. And then, of course, I have that delete, unsubscribe folder as well, Kylie. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that one up. So they're my 5 folders. If you want to write that down, if you're somewhere that you can write this down, it's action, delegate, done, waiting, and delete or unsubscribe. And if you manage your emails out of your inbox, categorize them into the folders, then it's about putting a process, a discipline process in place for you to go back and deal with them. And I think one of the biggest things that I got out when I first started zero inboxing is things that I thought were important because they were sitting there blaring and glaring at me in my inbox. When I put them into the action folder and oops, I didn't quite have my process in place to check them as regularly as I should, no one still screamed at me. No one asked, that's important, Linda. Why haven't you done it? They didn't come back to me. And guess what? Half of the stuff that I put into my action folder, I realized wasn't that important after all. And if somebody wanted something from me, they would ask again. So, you never really lose anything. People will remind you if something is there, but it's the emails are always there, and it's really just about managing them appropriately and having time set aside for them. So that's how I do mine. That's how I learned how to do mine. And I think that's a good starting point, is to really, the focus is to get them out of inbox where they're glaring at you saying, do me, urgent, this is important, drawing energy away from you, that digital pile of papers. If you can do something like that, then that's the first big step, I think. Kylie, what do you think? Yep.
I think conceptually that's an awesome idea, but I have my concerns about everyone doing that if you're working in a team or in a firm organization. And I'll
Yes.
just explain why.
Yes.
I know that if my staff were using folders like you are, Linda, it
Mhm.
doesn't give anyone else visibility over
Good
their
point.
inbox except them,
Yes.
unless you're using shared mailbox. And we
Yes.
don't use a lot of shared mailbox generally unless it's in that client service reception space.
Yes.
So especially with senior accountants, right? Like they don't have that sort of micromanagement.
No.
So that's why that's not one of our rules. I love
Okay.
that process, and I think that would be awesome if you were working independently or there was just a couple of you and you were using a shared mailbox system.
Got it.
But that's one of the reasons why for us we pull it out and into our task management system.
Okay.
It's transparent. Everyone can see it. You can delegate to other people, because for you in your email, if you have to delegate that to someone else, it's actually got to come out.
Yes.
It would be hard to put in that email inbox who you've delegated it to, what they said, blah, blah, blah. So that's like the next step up is using some sort of task management system to delegate it out.
Yes.
So this is the thing, like when we start talking about zero inbox, you really need to work out what's best for you, your firm, your team, because we all work so differently and there's different layers. So I love that system works for you and your team, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that definitely wouldn't work for us.
I've got an adjunct to that. When I say I put them into the action folder, the action is put them into my task management system. Right. So I am, yes. So it does go in there, and then it's like, oh, I've got to create a task for that, and I've got to put some information around that so someone else can see it. But yes, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So I think for me, when I sold, like I like to sell things to my team, not just tell them, hey, this is what we're doing. But when I tried to get them on the zero inbox bus, one of the main things that I said to them was, hey, this is going to reduce did you do that? What have you done with that? Did you get that email? Blah, blah, blah. Because everyone will just know what's going on because there won't be anything to hide. I think emails are one of the biggest risks that we have in our business.
Yes.
Places to hide.
Yes.
We don't, and it's weird, right? Because it's one of the very few places where we have no transparency. We expect, and it's required by our professional bodies and that sort of thing, that file notes are done. File notes are normal now, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah, client rings up, we talk to them, you do a file note. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
I just knocked on the table. But yes, everyone does file notes, right? So, like everyone does their file notes. It's cool. But like, so if everyone is now doing file notes and everyone is, documenting all of the stuff, why are we not giving our emails the same respect?
Yes, good point. Great point.
Especially when it's like one of the more common forms of forms these days.
Mm-hmm.
So we really need, I think, to change the way we think about emails.
Yes.
When we start to consider this zero inboxing, because part of it is just the way that we approach it. One of the other things that I said to my team is, you need to think of email as a conversation because it's a form of communication. So if a client rings and you get a message, hey, call this client back, there is no way you would wait 3 or 4 days before you call them back. No. So why, when a client, we have a 24-hour response time, that's one of our rules.
Yes.
Why, when a client emails, if that email just gets lost in your email thing, you think it's fine then to pick up the phone 3 or 4 days later and go, so sorry, I only just saw your email.
Yeah. Rubbish, you did see it. Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, like there's so many reasons to do it.
Yes. And I think too, as a business, we can, and I see a lot of accounting firms, we all start out probably small, if we've gone out to start our practices on our own, and we're just happy going around using our inbox, and as you said, Kylie, working quite independently, and then we might get 1 or 2 team members and it still works okay for us to do that. But before you know it, you need these extra levels of, everybody being transparency, everybody being able to see these things, and some of these rules around or guidelines around how you should deal with emails and communication. And I think, again, it comes back to this resourcing and planning again. We've got to get smart about this. It is not smart to, not give time to your emails, because you're exactly right. The professional risk involved in not dealing with them appropriately is very high. And so I think from that perspective, we need to think about looking at them differently and dealing with them appropriately. And I think a lot of practitioners, I see the gambit of both sides. Some have practice management software, and they're on that path of where they're quite an established business. They have this practice management software, and often those tools, like the one you're using, has document management, the ability to put the emails in there, respond from there rather than responding from your inbox. There's quite a number of them that allow you to do that. Or then I see the other stream of practices where they've probably just sort of grown themselves, and they've never put any of the, let's say, the big players of practice management software into play. And I think that's where that can become somewhat dangerous. So, your firm or your practice, as it's growing, you may need to have a look at really what your tech side, what your document management side, practice management software is doing, whether you've got some, whether you've got the lack of it, or, you've got nothing. Around this conversation with emails, I think that's important. That's an important part of the process.
Look, I agree. Emails are part of your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And as your practice grows in size, and that might be fee size, it might be staff size, both of them might grow at the same rate, and
Yes.
they might not.
Yes.
You need to be constantly reassessing your ecosystem and going, does what we've got now suit?
Yes.
Is it fit for purpose?
Yes.
And thinking, yes, no, maybe, is there something better? That's where we come unstuck, right? Is there something better? I don't know. There's 50,000 things. How am I supposed to know what the best one is? I'm an accountant. There are people out there that can help you. You should ask your friends and colleagues. You should go to expos, find out what the options are. There are lots and lots of options these days. Or get one of your team members to do the research, because particularly those early to mid-career accountants love to do that project work.
They do, and it's a great thing to be able to bring a project to your team, particularly when you are starting out in a firm, that's going to save them time, and be great for them. So yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. And so yeah, I think so many reasons we've talked about this morning about why we should do zero inboxing, or why we should think about it. The one point I just want to make here too is that it is relative, and that's what you've been saying to Kylie. Zero doesn't necessarily mean zero, as in nil. It can mean just a small amount or a manageable amount, and so not where it's dragging energy away from you, and you don't have that digital pile of papers sitting there where you think, I might just need it at some point, I'll leave it in the inbox, that's the best place for it. That is not the best place for it. I think we've established that today. It's not good for you. It's not good for your mental side and emotional side of things. It's not good for your team. It's not good for your professional risk. So many reasons. It's not good for client service either. We could probably go on forever. But I think when you're first starting to consider this, it is, again, and we talk about this a lot, we've got to get smart about this. It's about allocating some time and some planning to this, and getting smart with scheduling your day, blocking your time, scheduling your day. This will not work unless you are considering doing that. That really is the key. You can take everything out of your inbox and throw it into those 5 folders I talked about, or file it all into your document management system, or create tasks for it all, and take 3 days doing that over a weekend at one point in time, and then it will all come unstuck, or your hard work will come unstuck if you do not then develop a disciplined procedure around emails. Is that a fair statement, Kylie?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. But I just want to, before we finish up, just share like the thing that really changed our email life from our point of view, and that was to ban internal email.
Yes.
So, back in the day, and Like, I would think that no one would be sending internal emails anymore, but everyone still does apparently. And
Yes, they do.
It's so foreign to us, like, because we use a chat management system. We use Slack. Lots and lots of people use Teams, and even organizations that are using those two products or ones like that are still sending internal emails. So it's like, well, hang on, where do I go to get the comms from my staff or my teams or my direct manager or my direct report? Like, where do I go? I have to go in all these different places. So that is one of my top tips, to make there be one main place for general communication between you and your team, and make that not email. Because email, you end up getting CC'd on a lot of stuff. It's the slowest. It's the most easy to ignore. And particularly with this next gen of accountants that are coming through, the chat functionality is just something that
it's very normal.
They used to.
Yes.
It's totally normal for them.
Yes, that's how they communicate. Correct.
Any misconceptions that we might have, or hesitations, like, oh, it's not very people friendly, or there's no emotion, or you can't tell, that does not cross their mind at all. That's not a thing for them. And I think we do, given the fact that we're having a skills shortage and a resource shortage and a people shortage, and there's no accountants going to university just to study accounting, we really need to focus on that next generation of accountants.
We sure do.
Tailor to them and cater to them. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd love to, particularly how you've carved off work emails as well, Kylie. You've carved off those internal emails, and then you've carved off the work emails, which is, great. And then email just becomes about the other things that you need to do. So that's the process that works for you. And Paul's commented in Clubhouse for us, and you're exactly right, Paul, that your mail management software, the features around it need to match exactly the way you work. So again, it comes back to planning, resourcing, looking at what it is. You can't be reactive in this space if it's going to work for you. Particularly around, thinking about practice management, all this mail management that, like Paul is talking about, some of these tools we're talking about. So really, you can start learning the principles of zero inboxing. You can manage it and get it down. Number one rule, separate the management of emails from the doing of the work. I think that's the biggest thing. And I always, when I started, found it the easiest, that if I couldn't do it in 2 minutes, then that meant it was something that had to be worked on later. That really has just stuck in my head as to how I qualify an email now. So that was the process I used if you just wanted to get started. But try it for yourself. Try to do something. Get yourself disciplined around these procedures. Learn what you can from this before you necessarily go jumping into changing everything around an internal chat function or how you're saving your emails. But this may be a project for the whole team as well. I think that's another great thing that you raised, Kylie, not just letting somebody go off and look at the software, but saying, hey, everyone, we need to get better at our emails. It probably wastes a lot of time. There's things that could slip through the cracks. What are we going to do about it? It doesn't necessarily all need to fall on your shoulders as the business owner either. Your team will have some great ideas. They're talking to their friends, their colleagues. They're out there looking at stuff, hearing what other people are doing. So, listen to what they've got to say too. And what that's going to mean is that they're going to own this process a whole lot better than if you just told them what to do. So get them involved as well. I think it's a great idea. But zero inboxing, it is relative. It doesn't have to mean zero. We check the perfectionism at the door again, and just get started, because it's a really important area for all of us. Kylie, anything you want to finish up on there?
No, I think we've covered it all. I think if you have ever considered zero inboxing, the best way to do it is just to start.
Yes, like everything, let's just start. So important. So I hope everybody's enjoyed the conversation this morning and taken away a few things about zero inboxing. And remember my terrible accountant joke at the beginning. I'm not going to repeat it. But next week we are back again, and I have to give kudos to Kylie Baxter, who will be getting on a plane next week, but she is still going to be here to talk to us on Clubhouse. So thank you, Kylie. That's amazing, the effort that you put in to be with here and chat with us and to share your amazing expertise and knowledge. So we appreciate
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about effective capacity planning. So the 3 steps to effective capacity planning. So we're at the pointy end of the year where now we need to start thinking and planning about the next year. And so it's a really good time. I know we're all still busy. We're all still trying to squeeze stuff in before the 30th of June. It's ridiculous. But if we can just start to get our heads to start thinking that way and get some tips around how to do this, then you're 5 steps ahead of everybody else. So tune in for that next week. But of course, you can catch it all on the socials or on YouTube later on if you want to as well. Thank you so much again, Kylie. Fabulous chat today.
You. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.